Welcome to Cool Schools. This is Central New York's only show dedicated just to our schools. We have a special episode today. We're going to be talking to a couple of recent graduates from SUNY Cortland, a mother and daughter, in fact, who together earned their master's degrees in childhood education. Welcome to both of you, Alicia and Kayla.
My name's Kayla.
And I'm Alicia. I'm the mom, in case you couldn't tell. we do get a lot that we look like sisters, and my poor kid, she says to me, "Oh, does that mean I look older or you look younger?" And I said, "Well, I look younger." So,
Well, it's awesome that you both got your degrees together at the same time. So I have to kind of ask you, there's not too many parents and kids that can do this. What did that moment feel like for both of you?
oh gosh, it was
Weird.
Weird. Well, I'm sure it was weird to graduate with your mom, and obviously weird to graduate with your daughter, but it was one of the most momentous moments. Like, it just, you almost can't describe it. To get up on the stage and my daughter was behind me and they were going to call her name next, for both of us to get hooded together, was just indescribable feeling. And what was really cool was when they called my name and I was starting to walk up, my daughter yelled, "That's my mom!" and it was really, it was really cool. So I know I will hold it forever in my heart, and was very glad that we had lots of family members and friends there to witness the occasion.
And watching from home.
Sent
them the link, made sure that they could watch somehow, even if they couldn't fully make it up to Cortland.
Mm-hmm.
Did they all hear you scream, "That's my mom," even from home?
Yeah. I was probably about 3 feet from the mic where they were speaking the names. So I think everybody heard me.
So you got to kind of share with me the backstory of how you both got going for your master's degree in childhood education. Did you decide from the start that you wanted to do this together? Did one of you start first and the other join in? Like, how did this all come about?
Kayla definitely started first.
Yeah.
When she graduated high school, she already knew she wanted to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did 2 years at SUNY Broome, got her associate's degree, then went off to Binghamton University.
Mm-hmm.
Got her bachelor's in
Human development.
Human development.
I took the long route.
It's okay. It ended up being cheaper.
Yeah. That's why I did it.
And then I got my associate's degree from SUNY Broome in business when Kayla was 9 months old.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I had a couple odd jobs. I was managing stores, and then I worked the past 18 years as a guidance office secretary at one of our local high schools. And after that, just seeing, both my parents are retired teachers. My husband is a guidance counselor. So education was definitely within our family, within our blood. And seeing Kayla juggle her schooling and helping me take care of her 2 younger sisters was inspiring to me, and to see how well she handled it, and just wanting to further my career. They always say it's never too late to learn. So I applied to an online school, SUNY Empire, to get my bachelor's. So in December of 24, I earned my bachelor's in human development. That's as far as I was going to go. I was just going to do some counseling or something like that within the school district, like a homeschool coordinator or something like that. But I realized that just about every position wants you to have your master's. So I was having a little bit of a trouble getting a job with just my bachelor's. And at the same time, Kayla was looking into getting her master's degree. And she said, she told me, she goes, "Mom, I found that SUNY Cortland has an all online master's degree." program. And I said, wow, that's really cool. So that way you don't have to commute all the way up there from where we live and stuff. And then I kind of just on a, for giggles, I looked at it and it's like, wow, they even have an accelerated program where I could get my master's in a year if I really buckled down. So I applied and I got accepted. And so the rest is history. And so I finished up about a semester before Kayla. She still has her student teaching to do, but she petitioned to walk because we thought, oh my gosh, we're almost to the point where we could walk together in graduation. And Kayla was like, no way, Mom. She's like, that would be so cool. So she petitioned and they said, absolutely. So we both graduated last Friday.
How has the family reacted to your graduation, to your new master's degrees and the careers that are ahead of you?
Oh my gosh, everybody's been so, I don't know.
A lot of them are very like proud and
Yeah.
amazed, and I think they're all just like really happy for us that we, not only that we did it together, but that we even like achieved getting our masters. Because I mean, it's no easy task, obviously, especially like with everything going on in our own personal lives. So I can't even give a number of how many people have like reposted our pictures and the stories from Cortland and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's really cool that everybody is so happy
embracing
for us.
it.
Yeah.
And getting a career, in childhood education is very important. My sister-in-law is a teacher, so I know the importance of that topic. What made you pick childhood education specifically for your degrees?
I substitute taught for about a year and a half, and I tried to do just about every grade, K through 12, and I really, really liked like 4th, 5th grade, because they were still young enough where you could help shape their minds, and they're still young enough to not know everything, and but they were still old enough to tie their own shoes and that sort of thing. So they seem to get so excited when they see you, and I know this has happened to you too. If you sub for several days or something like that, or I noticed in my student teaching, the kids form a bond with you, and obviously vice versa, you form a bond with them. And I would be out for a day and they just bugged the host teacher, when's Mrs. Wyckoff coming back? When's Mrs. Wyckoff coming back? And just even that little thing of them, wanting you to be there is such a great feeling. And all my students, even if I just have them for a day, when I'm substitute teaching, they all hold a special place in my heart. And I think I kind of showed that with the top of my cap, because I guess decorating your caps is the thing these days. And I had all of my students from my student teaching, my 3rd grade class, sign the top of my cap with their signatures, and that was my decoration, because I said to them, they helped me grow, they helped me learn on what I needed to be able to do to graduate. And they were an intricate part of me graduating and learning what I need to do.
That's an interesting point you just brought up. You said they helped you learn, and in your path to get these degrees, did either one of you, your perspective change on the field of teaching, what you think is important, what style you hope to bring to the table? Tell me about, like, as you were taking these classes, how you're kind of developed your understanding of it all.
I think it's interesting going into different classrooms and seeing how, everybody operates, kind of like what things they have in place that help manage the kids' behavior, maybe keep them organized. I mean, I've seen countless classroom setups and different methods. Like some teachers have tables with like drawers on the side instead of regular desks that open. And I think it's just like nice to see that not everyone has to be the same. And I can kind of like do what works for me and my students. And that's probably one of the things I'm looking forward to the most too, is decorating my classroom. Because I just like how everybody has like a theme to their classroom. The 150-hour placement I just had, their theme was like forest and woodsy, and then the neighbors was sunflowers and like had a really calm vibe to it, and all the students just seemed very chill. It was interesting to see how the different themes kind of like contributed to the atmosphere. So, yeah.
And especially in the the early childhood education years, those things really stand out. Like I think back to my grade school years. My third grade teacher was still one of my favorite teachers, or even through college, one of my favorite professors ever. And just some of the fun things they did in the classroom that really kind of stood out. Like in both of your eyes, what makes a good teacher? Is it the connecting with the students? Like what do you think makes a good teacher these days?
Definitely connecting with the students.
Yeah, and
finding their interests.
Yeah.
I would say I've noticed when I like pick up on their interests, like without even me having to ask, they're kind of like, "How'd you know that?" And then they get more interested in telling you about it, and they love to talk to you about it, and they see you as like this figure that they can look up to because they have somebody they can talk to about the stuff that they enjoy. I know one of my students likes baseball, so I talk to him about baseball. And then another does Irish dancing, so I talk with her about Irish dancing. And they can't get enough time with me to tell me all about the stuff that they're doing. So I definitely think that's an important part for sure.
And I think I learned that another very important aspect is to be flexible. Not everybody learns the same. Everyone learns at different paces, different, some are auditory, some are visual, some are, whatever, some are both. So planning not only your classroom environment, but how to teach the kids in a way that everyone can learn. And obviously we have learned that, Kayla has learned that growing up with her two younger sisters, since they're nonverbal autistic, it's, they learn in very different ways. And right from the get-go, when we learned that they were autistic, Kayla took it upon herself to start teaching them. She took a class at SUNY Broome for ASL. She taught them sign language. She would label things throughout the house to help them learn what things were. So teaching just seems to be in her nature, and to be flexible. I mean, even at 13 years old, she was teaching her younger sister the way that she needed to be taught, not the way Kayla thought she needed to be taught. So I think flexibility is a huge, huge part of it as well. And that helps you get with the kids. That helps you understand them, and they can understand you better.
Yeah, I would even say just taking the time to observe, because I think that's what helped me figure out what my sisters needed. I noticed that the older one would always keep scrolling back the same like 5 to 10 seconds of a show she was watching, and like she started to try to imitate the sounds, and then eventually it sounded more and more like actual words. So I noticed that she needed more repetition, so that's what I did. I found a way to repeat things more, and I also noticed she did well with music, so I picked up on that, and I found more musical educational stuff. And then I also know, like myself, I'm more of a hands-on person, and not a lot of teachers gave me that opportunity to be hands-on. So I want to make sure my students get the opportunity to learn the way they need for like what works best for them. So
I'm with you on that. I'm definitely a hands-on learner too. I always found like especially in college when I would take production labs that those are the things that help me learn as opposed to the textbook learning. So I mean,
Yeah.
every student has their own style, so that's great that you can kind of pinpoint that and kind of learn from students. You know, as you did with your siblings when they were younger. I mean, that's such an admirable thing to do. I hate to drop the back in my day line, but back in my day, there like when I was in grade school, like internet was not a thing, right? I know
Right.
I'm horribly dating myself, and something I like to
I'm right
talk
there
about.
with you.
So something I like to talk about on the show with everyone is just the implementation of like technology, especially with like AI and the internet and stuff. What kind of a role do you think that plays in education? I know that kind of has like mixed opinions. Some people support it, others think it's kind of taken away. I'm curious what your opinions are on
I
that.
think there's a happy medium.
I would say all in moderation.
Yeah,
definitely.
all in moderation. Both of my practicums, they each district has something different. Like the one district I worked in, all the kids had Chromebooks. The second district that I worked in, all the kids had iPads. And there really is no more chalkboard. There's no, pulling down the maps. Now I'm dating myself. And it's all on the TV. It's all, either you have a smart screen or, and the kids go up and they know how to navigate. And a lot of the lessons are on programs that are on their iPad or their Chromebook or whatever it may be. And I noticed in my last class where I did my student teaching was a lot of the kids with the iPads and whatnot they'd color, they would change the fonts, they would change their backgrounds instead of looking at the worksheet and doing the work that they needed to do.
Yeah.
So those kids who were having more trouble with the technology got the old-fashioned paper copies. So you really have to learn how to limit that technology and make it work for everybody. And then there's also a lot of times that, we would gather them on the rug and we call them their whiteboards, but really what it was a piece of white paper and one of those protective sleeves that you put in a 3-ring binder, and they used a dry erase marker. And we would have them write on those so that they weren't always staring at a screen. So again, like Kayla said, all in moderation. I don't think everything should be on paper, but I also don't think everything should be technology based.
Yeah, and I mean, my second graders are just starting to type. They were working on a research project about landforms, and so now they're moving on to Chromebooks, and they come up to me with every question. How do I make the font bigger? Where's the comma? How do I make a capital letter? So they're still learning, definitely, at that age. But I think in that classroom, we made sure to not have it all technology based. And really the only time they use their Chromebooks is for this reading program that they do and their research. And I think extra math, something for math time usually. But we don't have iPads. We really don't have everything on the Chromebooks. They definitely go through a lot of paper and crafts still at that age in my classroom anyway. So I definitely think that's better for kids. I think it keeps them more engaged, first of all. And second of all, it's not staring at a screen for, 7 hours a day. So
I want to go back to your graduation from SUNY Cortland and graduation day. Your name's kind of the end of the alphabet, so you had time to sit there and wait and think about it, right? Was there a moment that it kind of struck you how cool of an experience this was going to be and what an accomplishment it is?
I think so. It was weird. I just kind of kept taking it all in. I kept looking all around and like looking at all the family members in the stands. You could tell where each family group was for each student who went up, you know, because you could hear the shouting and the comments from that particular part of the stands. And part of it was I kept looking over at Kayla and thinking, gosh, I'm sitting here with my kid, and we're doing the same thing. And you know, obviously I never experienced it when I was her age, because I didn't go to college then. And I don't know, just, I don't really have the words like you. I don't know what.
I definitely could tell that she was like taken aback by the moment, because as we were already on the other side of the stage, got our diplomas and everything, she started to tear up and like hug me, and I was like, yeah, we did it together. I mean, it was definitely different, even though this was my 4th graduation ceremony. So, you know, like same old for me. It wasn't, because I had her sitting next to me, and it was like, it really was like I was graduating like with like a lifelong best friend that I've known since kindergarten or something like that.
Or since birth.
Yeah. Because, you know, she's one of the very few that I've had for my entire lifetime. Like, I haven't had a lot of people that like stuck with me. So it was kind of nice to have her right by my side. And it was definitely different. I'd say my heart was racing, still going through that process. But I think it would have been boring to do it alone. So I'm glad I got to do it with her.
And you made sure everyone knew it was your mom by screaming loudly. That's awesome. And that sounds like a great experience, a memorable experience. And I want to ask you both one final thought here before I let you go.
Sure.
To anyone looking to get into teaching, looking to pursue a degree, you know, and they're just starting out, like, what advice do you have for them? What's your advice to prospective teachers in the future?
No matter how difficult it seems, or if it seems like you're just not going to be able to accomplish it, just keep going. Just keep going. There were times that I would be up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, because I couldn't do my homework until after my 2 youngest went to bed, because there was no way I could do it with them awake. And, you know, I just kept saying to myself, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Almost like, you know, the little engine that could, you know. Just keep going. It'll happen. It'll be here before you know it. And dig through, and it's all worth it.
Yeah, I would say definitely push through. I think the most difficult part for me was just that everything was reading, and obviously I don't learn best like that, but I just I had to keep reading and keep going until I get to the end, and then I'm free to teach little ones and do my own sort of thing. So, yeah.
All right, Kayla and Alicia, what an awesome story. Mother and daughter earning their master's degrees together in childhood education at SUNY Cortland. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been an awesome conversation, hearing about your experience and hearing about your theories behind teaching. And we definitely wish you well going forward.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us.
Yes,
this has
definitely
been wonderful.
All right, and remember, if you have something happening in your school you want us to talk about, you can email me anytime, coolschools@localsyr.com.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.